Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Mosky here again with another beer review for you today. For this one I'm going to revisit one of the Scottish breweries that I've done two reviews for you before, and this is their Christmas seasonal beer. So today we're going to take a look at the Clootie Dumpling, which is from the Orkney Brewery on the Orkney Islands in Scotland, of course, for you today. But I've reviewed already the Dark Island and the Northern Light beers, both of which were really nice, and you'll find the video links in the video description there to these other beer reviews, so have a look at those if you are interested in the Orkney Islands beer. And I've done many Scottish beer reviews for you as well before, so if you are particularly interested in Scottish craft beer, then maybe subscribe to the channel and stuff and have a little look through as well, and you'll find numerous Scottish beer reviews. But as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a brief history of the brewery here, and I'll also tell you a little bit about the local area where this brewery's from, just particularly for the benefit of those of you watching outside of Scotland, of course. But as I always say, if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, then go towards the latter part of the video and you will catch that particular segment. But just so those of you outside of Scotland know exactly where we're talking about here, I always describe the country as looking a little bit like a monster's head. So just where the monster starts to get a little bit of a Mohican thing going on, the first set of islands off the north coast there are the Orkney Islands, and obviously you can go up and you have the Shetland Islands. Beyond that are the Faroe Islands and Iceland, of course, as well there. But the Orkney Islands are the first set of islands to the off the north coast there. But they're particularly famous for having some of the best preserved archaeological sites in Europe, and some of these date back 5,500 years, and now they have UNESCO World Heritage status. And if you're visiting Orkney, you should definitely visit the Skara Brae prehistoric village, and this was only revealed in 1850 due to a violent storm that ripped up the ground. So it's quite cool to think that had this storm not happened here, we wouldn't know that this prehistoric village was there. But both Orkney and Shetland have significant Norse Viking heritage, and this can be seen in a number of the place names around both Orkney and Shetland, of course. You have St Magnus Cathedral in Kirkwall, which is the sort of capital town, if you like, of Orkney there, and I believe there's also some other Norse artefacts in this particular church here. But many of the streets also bear Norse names, and incidentally these islands only became Scottish in 1468. Scotland, of course, was formed in 843, if you like, so these are a relatively new part of the country, if you like. But this brewery, to move on to the history of the brewery itself, the brewery is currently owned by Norman Sinclair, who's an award-winning hotelier with various properties around Scotland. And Norman was actually born in Orkney, but he moved to Fort William at a young age and worked in the family's aluminium business. Now in 2006 he set up his company called Sinclair Breweries Limited, which subsequently acquired two breweries. The first of these was the Orkney Brewery, and the second was the Atlas Brewery. Now the Orkney Brewery was founded in March 1988 by Roger White at the Old Schoolhouse in Sandwick in Orkney, Scotland, and the Atlas Brewery was founded in 2002 by Neil Cotton, and it merged with the Orkney Brewery in 2004 under the name Highlands and Islands Breweries. And this came about due to the retiral of Roger White and the subsequent acquisition of shares by the Atlas Brewery. Now Neil Cotton served as managing director of Highlands and Islands Brewery for a short period of time, and he drove a series of changes at the Orkney Brewery, but this company was then purchased by Sinclair Breweries Limited in 2006, which it still remains under the control of to this day, under Norman Sinclair's guidance, of course. But this brewery is still based in the same Old Schoolhouse in Coilou, just a mile from that Neolithic site with the prehistoric village that I was speaking to you about before. But they have 3 employees who are involved with the brewing of this beer. Head brewer Andrew Fulton, who's a graduate of the famous brewing programme at Heriot-Watt University. He joined the brewery in 1994. They have Kevin Sarling, who's a South Londoner who'd been involved with the transport business before taking up brewing in 2005. And they also have Magnus Flett, who's a former farmer from Harry. He's an Orcadian, and he joined the brewery in 2001. But to tell you a little bit about the other beers this brewery produce, they produce cask ales and filtered beers in bottles, and they're available throughout Europe and North America apparently. This brewery is one of the better regarded ones in Scottish craft beer. It's one of the better known ones, in fact. But their other bottled beers include the Northern Light, which is a pale ale, Red McGregor, which is a red ale, Raven Ale, which is a bitter ale, Dragonhead, which is a stout, Skull Splitter, which is a strong ale, and Dark Island, which is a nice sort of dark ale. That's a really beautiful beer, probably their best known one, in fact. But they also have this one here, which is the sort of seasonal Christmas beer, if you like. And there's actually an interesting bit history behind the sort of Skull Splitter as well, so I'll divulge that for you in my review when I get around to reviewing that beer for you. And as I mentioned, this is the Christmas seasonal one here. But each of their beers are available in bottles and also in cask ales. I had heard that this one was actually only available in casks, so I was quite interested when I found it in my bottle in my local Tesco's, of course. I was quite surprised because these beers can be quite difficult to get up in Aberdeen, which is odd because the port from Orkney, where they bring these beers in, it will of course be Aberdeen, but you can get these more easily in the Central Belt, where I am at the moment visiting my parents for Christmas, of course. But these beers have actually won a number of awards, and the Dark Island and Skull Splitter brews are actually the most decorated beers from the brewery, if you like. But you can have a look at the link of the brewery website that I've put in the video description there, so have a look at the brewery website if you are interested in knowing further what these beers have done. But let's have a little look at the beer itself. I'll just get this out and do the tasting for you. I'll just bring up the camera again and let you have a little look at the bottle art and stuff. This is the sort of standard Orkney Brewery artwork, if you like. As you can see, this one has a nice sort of Christmas pudding thing on it here, and each of the different beers of course have a different sort of colour scheme just in this little thing here, and a different artwork of course as well. As you can see, there's the signature of Andrew Fulton, the head brewer here as well. This one is a 4.3% tawny ale. It's a sort of traditional Scottish Christmas ale, if you like. And as you can see, this is the sort of usual symbol for the Orkney Brewery. This is usually on the bottle caps, but this one just has a plain gold bottle cap this time, of course. It has a little bit of a description on the back as well. It says, the name Clootie Dumpling comes from the traditional Scottish spice pudding with the cloth or cloot that it is wrapped in. This fruity, spiced winter ale exhibits all the warming characters of that famous dish. The Orkney beers are brewed in tune with the ecology of our beautiful corner of the Northern Isles. Please visit our www.visitorkney.com for more details. And this beer is 100% GM free apparently as well. So that's the little product description on the back there. I was struggling to read that there, just changing the colours. I need to maybe get my eyes checked or something, I don't know. But let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting here. As I mentioned, this is a 4.3% tawny ale. It's available from mid-November to January, of course, and this one apparently uses Braming's Gold, First Gold and Fuggles hops, but it didn't say what the malt profile of this one was, so I guess we'll just have a little guess at that when we open it up. But let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting here. These are always really nice beers as well. I really enjoy the stuff that I've had from the Orkney Brewery so far. But this is going to be a nice sort of deep sort of amber straw colour, this one of course. Let's just sugar up the last little bit, get a little bit more head on this one. This is a half-litre bottle of course, if I didn't say that already. But as you can see, I'll just bring the light over it and let you have a little better look at the colour there. You can see it's a nice sort of tawny amber colour. This is what part of the name refers to, of course, here. But there's a lot of carbonation actually visible in this one. Some big and some small bubbles. It's got quite a bumpy head, a little bit of big bubbles as well, but mainly a sort of nice foamy thing there. It's about half a finger's worth of head. But I'll just check you're seeing that on the camera there. As you can see, it's a nice sort of maybe a coppery amber colour, if you like. Quite an interesting colour here. A nice little bit of coppery amber to it, definitely I would describe it as. But a really nice looking beer, I have to say, with a nice thin sort of foamy head here with some bigger bubbles and some small ones here. But let's give this guy a smell and see how we get on with this one, of course. Actually a good bit of spice character here. It really does smell like Christmas pudding, really, this one. But a big malty nose, a good bit of caramel and biscuity malts, but you're getting a good bit of that spice in there that you would expect, a sort of cinnamony spice, as you would expect with a lot of Christmas seasonal beers, of course. And there's some dried fruit in the background there as well, I would say. It's an interesting beer, this one. It really has a really interesting, definitely a Christmas pudding smell. You can see what they're going with here and why they've named it after the pudding, of course. It really does smell like that, but that's what they're aiming for, of course. A really interesting one though. If you get the chance to try this beer, definitely take a little look at the smell. Just breathe it in a few times and get a hold of this. It's really interesting. I've never smelt a beer that quite has that sort of Christmas pudding smell, of course. But yeah, let's give this guy a taste and see how we get on here. A lot of spicy character in this one as well. And the red sort of dried fruits coming out, basically the taste you would expect from the pudding. It almost seems as if they've just made a beer and then filtered it through a couple of these puddings or something. It definitely tastes like the sort of Christmas pudding thing there, the Clootie Dumpling, if you like. It definitely tastes like Christmas pudding, this beer. But yeah, a nice sort of sweet and caramel opening there. And this is followed by the sort of bready and biscuity malts, and there's a good bit of that cinnamon spice character. As I mentioned, you were picking that up in the aroma there. But yeah, just noticing it's a little bit dark there. But yeah, really this one tastes a lot like Christmas pudding, as I was saying. It smells like it as well. Really interesting Christmas seasonal one. If you get the chance to try this, give it a go. I've never quite tried a beer that's like this, of course. But yeah, you've got a nice sort of caramel, and maybe this is where the dark fruits are coming out as well. You're getting a nice caramel and dark fruit opening there. I'm getting a good bit of raisins and plums, but it's definitely the caramel malts that are coming out there first, with the sort of biscuity and bready malts following there, and they've got a nice bit of cinnamon spice character to them, of course, and there is actually just a little underlying woody character to this one as well, I would say. And it's quite bitter on the finish, in my opinion, with the caramel coming back again. As I say, this is a really, really unique Christmas beer. It really does taste like Christmas pudding. There's actually just a little hint of sort of toasted or roasted character to this one as well. A really nice sort of, it's almost like a bitter if you like, but it's like a very fruity bitter in my opinion. This is a really good Christmas seasonal one. It's a lot different from the other beers that they've done, of course, as well. So it's good in that respect that their Christmas seasonal is something that's a good bit different as well. But as I say, I thought this one was only available on cask. And I can see that the sort of malts and things like that, the caramel malt would maybe be a little bit stronger in the cask version, of course, but in the bottle it's a really, really nice beer as well. Definitely give this a try if you get the chance. Very different from anything else that the Orkney Brewery do. In terms of the mouthfeel with this one, this is definitely a light-bodied beer. It's got moderate carbonation in my opinion, and it's slightly dry on the finish as well, but it's a very easy drinking one as well though. It's actually quite a sweet one. The fruit, the sort of dried fruits if you like, are quite prominent, and they have a nice sort of sweet thing just on the front of the tongue there. But this is a really nice Christmas beer, and as I say, it really does taste like Christmas pudding if you like. It's got that nice sort of bready and biscuity spice base to it, but the red and dried fruits are coming out really well as well, and it's very unique in that sense. I'm not sure how widely available this particular Orkney Brewery beer is, but you know, anything you're going to try from this brewery you're definitely not going to be disappointed with. A really, really good Scottish craft brewery, and as I say, they're quite decorated as well, and that obviously happens for a reason. But if you get the chance, give the Clootie Dumpling a try if you like. As I say, it really does taste like Christmas pudding. The most interesting Christmas seasonal beer that I've reviewed for you so far actually, so give this guy a try if you get the chance. I hope you found this beer review informative here. And this actually, as I say, this is good for either Christmas Day or like, you know, like a New Year's Eve sort of thing when you're drinking for the bells coming in and stuff. A really nice Christmas seasonal beer. So give this guy a chance if you give this guy a try if you get the chance. Check out the brewery website as well. Have a look at their other beers. As I say, I really rate this brewery quite highly, and many other Scottish craft beer lovers do as well. So if you're watching from outside of Scotland, if you see these beers in the shops or in pubs and things like that, give them a try. You won't be disappointed with these. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. Please let me know in the comment section your own thoughts on this beer, if you thought it was really a Christmas pudding beer as well. As I say, it's just kind of like, it almost seems like it's filtered through that. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. I hope you're enjoying my series of beer reviews that I'm doing for you. I've got another couple of Scottish breweries that I'd like to introduce you to before I go off to Germany, of course. But thanks again for watching, and I shall catch you again soon with another beer review. And I've got 2 more of these Orkney Brewery beers for you to review as well. Catch you soon. Cheers.